So first of all, thank you very much for coming to this very beautiful Krishna Katha. And maybe not many people come, but then we have last conference, almost 100 people have watched the video. So we are encouraged to continue until at least one person desirous, willing to listen. Okay, so today we're going to start with the verse Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.3.12. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shriva Sri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevayam bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes of the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. A loving service unto the personality of Godhead, with praise, with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Tata Saptama Akutyam Ruche Yakyo Bhyachayatam Sayamadhyay Suraganay Apatsvayam Bhuvantaram. I'm going to read only a couple of verses and then I will let maybe Bhakti Cassandra can offer herself to read the verses. The seventh incarnation was Yagya, the son of Prajapati Ruchi, and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the change of the Swayambhuva Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama. So this incarnation is also one of those incarnations. We cannot tell all the story now, but I guarantee you that we are going to tell the stories of each one of them. If during the class you have a particular, since this is an ocean, it's difficult to choose what to say or not to say, then when the question time comes, you please tell me, I want to know about this. And the next week, I'm going to tell you the whole story. Okay? And this is how it should work. This is how I like things to work. Ashtame merudevyantu nabher jatanurokramaha darshayan vatmadhiranam sarvashravanamaskritam. The eighth incarnation was King Rishabha, son of Nabi and his wife Merudevi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and were honored by all orders of life. King Rishaba, we are going to see the story of this great king who is an incarnation of the Lord in the 6th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And his story is really very, very particular and very, very beautiful. So then we have now a very important incarnation. The Rishibi Yachito Bheje Navamam Partivam Vapuhu Dubhemam Ushadir Vipras Tenayan Sa Ushattamaha. O Brahmana, in the 9th incarnation, the Lord prayed for by sages accepted the body of a king, Prithu, who cultivated the land to yield various produce. For that reason, the earth was beautiful and attractive. So at the Vedic time, the king was a very important figure. There was monarchy at the time. There was no democracy. Democracy means that people who do not know what is right and what is wrong, they should choose somebody they don't know. Just like when you go to vote, you don't know the future president of the United States. You never met him. You don't know what he is, who he is, how he speaks, or unless you believe to what a politician says on TV, and then you are really wrong. Politicians, according to sages like Chanakya Pandit, the main service of the politician is to lie, and they're very good in lying. So the power of vote is important, and so someone should train himself to exercise this right. Personally, I'm not against voting, but I am against voting if the person is not qualified. So Prithu was a great king, but he had the whole Brahmana group guiding him. He wasn't alone. The king is not supposed to do everything by himself, but he should be guided by the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are the intelligent people, the head, while the Kshatriya are the executive branch of the society, the arms. The king does things of what he does, what the Brahmana says. And what the Brahmana says, what the Brahmanas say, they say what the scriptures say. And who speaks the scripture? That's the Supreme Lord. So it's very, in this way, things can work very nicely. But it's not that a king who is not qualified should remain as a king. A king who is not qualified should be removed. And this is the story of Prithu Maharaj, son, father, whose name was Vena. Vena was a very, very unqualified king, a very, very unqualified human being. He was a rascal. He was a killer. He was a thief. He was you name it. Whatever bad existed in human life, he did. So so the Brahmanas removed him. They killed him, actually. And from Vena's dead body, Maharaj Prithu took birth. So maybe if you ask any question on the Vedic system of ruling, I'm here because I said those things about democracy, expecting all your hands just bam, So no hands. You agree with me? So that's great. But in Rosario does not agree with me. Just look at her face. She hates what I said. So if you have any question, I can. No, you don't hate it. Wow.
No, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances and my respect. No, I just need to think. I need to process those words about democracy and about the monarchy, because I'm glad that you mentioned the fact that this Bena, it was not a qualified monarch, because I guess that because monarchy and those succession of kings, because they belong to the same family and this, so that not everybody was qualified. So I need to think about that.
Yes, think about it. And this is not going to be the last time we meet. We are going to meet again for years and years and years.
Yes.
So we have all the time in the world. You know which very important Western thinker spoke against democracy? You know who is? Socrates. Socrates spoke about democracy, saying that how an ignorant person can choose right. There is the whole booklet, a small booklet. I read that when I was 11, and I was completely taken aback, because it was the first time since we born democratic, all of us. We cannot think, especially Italians and Germans who come from the horrible experience of Nazism and fascism. So I was born 10 years after the Second World War finished, and democracy was already there, although building up. Italy was rebuilding after the war, and we have been trained up, we have been educated to think that the people should rule. And even this is there is an interesting concept, but what does it mean? What does it mean? You elect somebody you don't know, and then he does what he wants. Is this the democracy? I don't think this is democracy, because if the people knew who the monarch or the president, here in the States, you have one of the closest concept to monarchy in the world, you know, because you elect somebody and then basically he is, maybe it is not exactly like that, but the president has a lot of power. So, so what is missing is the Brahminical class. That is missing, because if you have a Brahminical class, then any system could work. Even democracy, they come together, you know, and they say, okay, we like these people, this person, but then he's under the Brahminical guidance. That's you know, but he starts saying, no, the people elected me, and they refuse the authority of the Brahmanas, who is the authority of the scripture, or the authority of God, or the Supreme Personality, then it cannot work. Then it can't work. So the system that we find in the Mahabharata and in the Ramayana and then in any scripture never has been never a history of democracy was spoken, but the ruling is always on the base of scriptures, on the law of God, of Krishna, of the Supreme Personality. So so during the Vedic time, the Kshatriya, they were trained to be Kshatriya, just like we are trained in materialism. We are trained in foolish music, foolish principles, to be beautiful, to be strong. You had to be successful. You are a loser. You grew up with these ideas. you know. But in the Vedic time, you grow up with the idea that you had to be qualified in base of scriptures, on the Vedas. This is for the first day that you take birth. So when you are grown up and you are a Kshatriya, you can be a good king, a good manager. Or if you are a Brahmana, you are trained to be a good Brahmana. And Brahmana is someone who is trained to be clean, to be intelligent, to be merciful, to be kind on the first day of his birth. And if the spiritual master sees that this person is not qualified to be a Brahmana, you are not going to be a Brahmana. You are not going to work as a Brahmana. A Brahmana could work as a Brahmana only if his spiritual master, because all kids, just like we go to school, at the Vedic time, people would go to the Gurukula. Gurukula means the school of the spiritual master. And the spiritual master will tell you, no, you're not a Kshatriya, you are a Vaishya, you should go make a lot of money and give charity to everybody. You are not very intelligent, you don't understand, you'll be a Shudra and just help people. You're going to be happy because if you do something you're not qualified, you're going to suffer. Just try to imagine somebody who wants to be a Brahmana and is not qualified, and people start telling him, asking him questions he doesn't know to answer. So imagine the anxiety of being in a position which is completely not natural, or being the temple president and you don't know how to solve problems. You don't know because you're not qualified. It's not your nature. So I think, and the Mahabharata spends a lot of time around the Kshatriya Dharma. It's very much a Kshatriya Dharma, but also Brahmana. But we learn how to be Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra in all the scriptures. Okay, now we go to the verse 3:15. Can you please read it? I think Cassandra.
I just apologize. My Sanskrit is not that well.
Sorry?
My Sanskrit isn't that, my pronunciation of Sanskrit isn't that well, but I'll do my best.
Okay.
When there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshusha, Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaivashvata Manu, keeping him up on a boat.
You have an excellent Sanskrit diction. Excellent. Yes, it's Chakshusha. It's Vaivashvata Manu. You said that very correctly. So this is another very beautiful story. I think I can pledge to tell this story next week, because the story of Matsyavatar, Matsya means fish, Avatara means incarnation. The Lord at the time took the form of a fish, and what did he do? He protected the Vaivashvata Manu, and not only the Vaivashvata Manu, actually there are several Matsyavatar. In one of these, he also protected the Vedas, the personification of the Vedas. Who are the personification of the Vedas? The Brahmana. The Brahmana. Without the Brahmana in society, this society is not a society. It's just, I don't say como se dice, how you say that in English. Let's see. The Google Translate, a jumble, a rebel of people, a jumble of people staying together, but there is no intelligence. They don't know how a society can function in such a way that everybody can be happy and progressive in life. Brahmanas are necessary. And all of you who are here today hearing this class should aim to become a Brahmana. Not only Brahmana by initiation, Of course, you are not a Brahmana if you are not initiated as a Brahmana, but mainly to be Brahmana by qualification. So by hearing the Bhagavatam, hearing the classes, etc., slowly but slowly you will become a Brahmana. That's sure. Okay. See. Yes.
Can women become Brahmanas?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Brahmana is not a social designation. Brahmana is a quality. If you have it, you have it. Just like, can a person be black? If you are black, you are black. Yes. Huh? So, of course, during the, during the centuries, during the millenniums, the quality of people, means men and women, these qualities, developed in different ways. You see, like in other ages, I'm talking about thousands and thousands of years ago, the difference between the intelligence of the average man, I'm talking about average man, the average woman was very different. Men was very much more intelligent than women, but that doesn't mean that all women were less intelligent and all men were, even at that time, more intelligent, because even the Mahabharata, we read about Draupadi, about Kunti, about so many women that were so much qualified as much as men. I'm talking about average. So, but in Kali Yuga, there is the difference is, in my personal experience, there is no difference. In Kali Yuga, men, by attachment to women, they became very much feminine in the way they think, in the way they feel, in the way, and by attachment to men, women have become very much strong. We have a lot of qualified women in our movement who are very much Brahmanas, and we got a lot of very unqualified so-called Brahmanas in our movement. So all of you, men or women, Vaishnava or Vaishnavi, should aim to become Brahmanas by quality. And just your questions. You see, women are making questions. The only man here is not making question. He will, of course. But so where questions come from? From intelligence. Because when the intelligence is excited by listening to something, then immediately began working. And this is a sign of intelligence. Actually, I can tell you, the more one devotee makes question, the more intelligence I see behind these questions. Because one person doesn't do questions for two reasons. One, he knows everything, and second, he didn't understand anything. There is no a third way. There is no a third way because it's impossible not to have questions. It's not just an open. I have questions. I've been studying this philosophy for what, we are close into 50 years now that I knew Srila Prabhupada in 54. So we are 2 years away from 50 years of my being a devotee. I still have questions. I read something and I said, oh my God, why I don't have Srila Prabhupada with me? You see. So to conclude, yes, men or women, they are Brahmanas if they are Brahmanas.
Thank you, Maharaj. Okay, so one other question came to me was, you said asking questions is the meaning the intelligence is working, but can that also be speculation? Because the speculation process is also the intelligence, or I don't know if it's the intelligence, but it's the tendency to ask, and the mind goes and can go in all different directions.
Well, when you speculate, if you speculate, it's because you have intelligence. Otherwise, what can you speculate? You know? So, of course, like the body, you can use it in the right way, or the wrong way, just like a knife. You can use it to cut vegetable, or you can cut your finger. So, but you have a knife, because if you did not have a knife, then you couldn't cut anything. You cannot use it for good or for bad. So the sign that you speculate is because you have intelligence. So now, since you have become a Vaishnavi since quite some time now you are not starting, because you started long ago, but you are now in the process of using it in the right way. And never listen to somebody who says, "Oh, this is a speculation." You know, don't do these questions to speculate. There are some devotees who preach this way. If they do, they don't deserve much respect, because there is no bad questions. There are no bad questions. There may be bad answers, but never bad questions. So yes, there are wrong way to use your intelligence, and you have to learn how to use it in the right way. At the same time, I want to say that if you ask me, it is better to speculate or not, just try not to think. I would say I would prefer speculation, because speculation is passion, it's Rajoguna. While try not to think is a Tamoguna, it's ignorance. You try to not use your intelligence. You are trying to make it sleep, and this is not good. Better to activate it and ask.
Thank you, Maharaj.
And of course, asking, reading. Thinking also. Maybe if you think by yourself, sometimes you can be wrong, but that's better to be wrong than be nothing. Okay, Bhakti Rosario.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Is there any knowledge about a Sudra in the Vedic history that was qualified as a Brahmana, or that got the opportunity to get trained as a Brahmana? Or because Sudras were Sudras, they never got the chance to be trained to be clean or develop the other qualities of Brahmanas?
Yeah, very good questions. Because it brings us to the point of thinking, of asking, is the birth qualities, the qualities you took birth with. You take birth with some karma, some past karma, and your karma determine your nature, your material nature. Okay, so normally it's very difficult to transcend your nature, because that's your nature. You know the story of a very important person. I let you say the name whenever you remember, you understand who I'm talking about, who was told that he was not a Kshatriya. And he couldn't work in anywhere else because he was a Kshatriya. Although his family was not a Kshatriya, he was a Kshatriya. So who is he?
Karna?
Karna. Yes, Karna. Of course, Karna was actually the son of Kshatriyas, but he was told from the first day of his birth that he was not a Kshatriya. So he tried not to do that. But then at the end, he's always ended up doing that because that is his nature. So let's say that after some time you change your nature. Are there instances in the scripture where some person during his life change his work the way? Yes, there are many, like Vishwamitra. like Parashurama. Parashurama was born Brahmana, and you work as a Kshatriya. Vishwamitra was born in a Kshatriya, you became a Brahmarishi. There are different types of Brahmanas, and Brahmarishi is the top. Okay? So, and he became a why? Because he wanted to. So is it possible to change one's nature, birth, nature? Yes, you can. Yes. In ISKCON, I saw this thing so many times. I cannot count how many times I saw persons pushed to do something, and they were unhappy, and they didn't make. At the end, years after years, boom, he arrived when he wanted, because it's nature. And I also saw devotees who were very much Kshatriya or Brahmana, and after some time they chose something else and they were successful. But it's not easy. It's very difficult to change your own nature. Okay, any other point to discuss this, or we can go on? Okay.
It's not clear to me still, Guru Maharaj, if because Sudras is not the same that Kshatriyas and Brahmanas. Shudras were Shudras. So
no, why? Why?
Well,
it's not being a Shudra, it's not the easy thing.
Well, but those are the ones who were deemed to be doing the hard work, the dirty work.
Well, not the hard work. The Shudras, they were workers, but not like dirty work. There were other classes doing that, you know. So
I think that is the same case as the women, that at the time they were prevented or deprived of opportunities to
not prevented, never. If one obviously manifested a quality like Karna, you know, Karna manifested this nature of Kshatriya, although he said to Parashurama, I am a Brahmana, and he behaved like a Brahmana for many years. At the end, his nature came out. It was just, he couldn't keep it. You remember the story of the insect, etc. I'm not going to say all the story, but his nature will come out. If a Shudra would become qualified to be Vaishya, Shudra, no, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana, whatever, nobody would prevent him. He would be prevented if he had no qualities and he wanted to act as a Brahmana. Yes, he will be prevented. Why? Because he will make a mess. Just like the politicians today, they are not qualified to be Kshatriyas, and they make mess because they're not qualified. They don't know. They don't know how to be leaders. They became politicians because they wanted money and power. That's all. That's all. You know, just like Shudras. So Shudras, they want money and power, and they have money and power. The Shudra, they were richer than Vaishyas and Kshatriyas, you know. So you had to be qualified to be whatever you want to be, because if you don't, then you're going to make a mess. And in Vedic society, this was not allowed. It was not allowed. Just like there are so many people translating the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, especially the Bhagavad Gita, but not only the Bhagavad Gita. Another book who has been translated and explained many times, maybe even more than the Bhagavad Gita, is the Yoga Sutra. You know, I read some version of the Yoga Sutra. It's horrible what these people are able to say. Things have nothing to do with the teachings of Patanjali. So, what should we do? Would it be better to have a bad Bhagavad Gita, or it's better not to have a Bhagavad Gita? It's better not to have a Bhagavad Gita, you know, because when you because you bewilder people. There are so many people, they that come to our classes, and especially in the past, now less, But the Bhagavad Gita say that. Where? Bhagavad Gita never said that. No, look, it's here. Well, Bhagavad Gita, no, it's the Bhagavad Gita. This version of the Bhagavad Gita or the other version of the Bhagavad Gita. Who told you that? Well, it is written here. Krishna never said that. So it's easier to teach, or it's easier to write in a clean copybook than write into a wrongly written copybook, because you had to cancel, you had to think, to convince people that the Vedas, just like in Italian, we are doing the Tattva Sandarbha classes. Jiva Goswami was saying that nobody who is qualified should talk about the Vedas. It's better not to talk about the Vedas, talk about the Vedas in the wrong way. And he actually sent a curse. It's a very beautiful verse in the Tattva Sandarbha. It curses people if they try to explain something they're not qualified to. Okay, so are you a Shudra? To conclude, are you a Shudra? Yes. Is it difficult to become someone else? Yes, it's difficult. Can you become somebody else? Yes, you can. Would anyone prevent you physically, like the king? Will the king come to you and say, no, you are qualified as a Brahmana, but you cannot be a Brahmana? No. We have so many instances, just like Vishwamitra. When Vishwamitra was a king, between a king and a Brahmana, there is a gulf of difference. With years that you continue studying the scriptures, studying the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and studying the Bhagavad Gita, you will see the difference between Brahmana and Kshatriya. It's like one side of the planet with the other side of the planet. It's like a North Pole and the Caribbean, That's the difference. It's a huge difference. Nothing is even similar. So Brahmanas and Kshatriya are two different worlds. So when Vishwamitra tried to become a Brahmana because he understood that Brahmanas, they were more powerful than Kshatriya, he was rejected at the beginning. So how did he become a Brahmana? By austerities, by studies, and he became and when he became qualified as a Brahmana, then he was accepted as a Brahmana. Again, the Vedic society is not a classist society. Yes, there are classes, but it's not classist. There are two ways of being classist. One is to say there are classes. Yes, I'm not like you. You are different than me. So there are two classes. It's just natural. And saying that the people is different, that there are Brahmanas who are different from Kshatriya, it's not classism, it's just a reality. But then to say that someone who is qualified as a Brahmana shouldn't be a Brahmana, that's classism. That's like being, racist. That's racism. That someone is superior or inferior because of the color of the skin. It's the same thing. You cannot classify a person by the color of his skin, but you have to classify the person by who he is. It's not the body, so it's not black. It's a spirit soul. The spirit soul is not black or green or whatever. So saying that a person is black and the other one is white, it's not racism, it's just a fact. But if I say he's more qualified because he's white, that's racism. That's stupid and should be condemned. Then, if I say, I don't know, like Dominican and French, just not always say Italians, and French, from the point of view of punctuality are different. That's not racism, it's just a fact. You know, there are certain culture for which time is not, it doesn't exist. If I tell you 10 o'clock, it doesn't mean 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock is just a sound. You know, in France, just like in Italy also, in Germany, if you arrive at 10 and 1, the person is upset because you wasted 1 minute of his life and will never get it back. So it's not racism to say that Europeans have the culture of punctuality. As an example, I could have made hundreds of different examples. Respect to Indians or to Puerto Ricans or to, because I live there, I know that this is a fact. So to say that somebody is not qualified to be a Brahmana is a matter of fact. But he can become a Brahmana. So to conclude, tell me one example of one person who was not qualified as a Brahmana, as a birth condition, and then he became a Brahmana. That's me. Of course, I shouldn't say I'm a Brahmana, but I'm doing the function of a Brahmana, and I was born as a barbarian. I didn't know anything. I just knew my girlfriend, my sport, and that's all I knew. And then Srila Prabhupada took me. And he didn't say, you know, you are a Shudra. I wasn't even actually a Shudra. I was lower than a Shudra. He didn't say, no, you're not qualified. You're never going to be accepted as a Brahmana. Now, if I go to India, I can give class to temples, not only ISKCON temples. They accept me. When they see the Upavita here, the Upavita here, and they ask, who is your guru? And I say, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. They immediately say, yes, please sit down, give class. We want to hear from you. Even in India, we're very much racist, very much classist. They are coming to accept the quality. The quality. Guna karma vibhaga shaha. This is the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita says, Chaturvarnyam maya shristan guna karma vibhaga shaha. This verse explains everything. Chaturvarnyam, there are 4 classes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Maya Shrishtam, that I created in this universe, these natures that I created. But how you recognize Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra? Guna, karma. Guna is the quality. Karma is the activity. If you say, I am a Brahmana because I know so much philosophy, you never take a shower, then you may have the guna, but you don't have the karma because you don't act as a Brahmana. So you should have the quality of a Brahmana and you should have the activity that it becomes evident that you are a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. But what you do, you know the story of the ass, donkey, who tried to be a lion. And the donkey was very much envious of the lion because everybody respected him. So he said this praso, you say that? See,
disguised himself.
He disguised, yes, he disguised himself as a lion. So everybody was seeing, oh, he's the lion, he's the king of the forest, okay? And, but he didn't say anything, he kept mum. Because if he would speak, then he couldn't say, he couldn't emit the roar of the lion because he's a donkey. He would have said like that. So he would be discovered. So one day he just couldn't make it anymore, and he started to do, and everybody started to punch him and chastise him and everything. So if you say, I am a Brahmana, but when you open your mouth, you do not know Bhagavad Gita, you do not know the Bhagavatam, you don't know the Vedas, you don't know the Puranas, you don't know the Upanishads, you don't know anything, then you are not a Brahman, you are a rascal, even if you are initiated. Initiation, formal initiation, it's an obligatorio. It's a mandatory step, a compulsory step, okay? But it's not all in all. It's not that the day you have the first and then you have the second initiation, then everybody is forced to accept you as a Brahmana. You have to prove that you are a Brahmana. So guna karma, you have to act like a Vaishnava as a Brahmana, and then you have to show the quality of a Brahmana. Brahmana is clean, the Brahmana is kind, the Brahmana is intelligent, the Brahmana like to study, a Brahmana like this. There are so many qualities of the Brahmana. And the day, well, actually, you should start now to read, because Prabhupada wanted us to become all Brahmanas. You should start reading the qualities of the Brahmana. You should strive to become a Brahmana. Then initiation will come. Of course, some of you do not want initiation, but those who want initiation, they should read the quality of the Brahman and start practicing them. Okay.
It reminds me of
Cassandra?
The verse, the Bhagavad Gita verse 3.6. It says, one who outwardly controls the senses while inwardly dwelling on sense enjoyment is deluded and is a pretender.
Yes.
It's kind of a little what you're saying.
Yes. Yes. Because it's just a question of time. You know, you act outwardly in a certain way, but if you don't cure your internal consciousness, it's just a question of time you fall down. Just like always from decades, people are, how can I recognize a guru? How can I recognize a bona fide Brahman? How can I recognize? One of the questions is time. How much time one can cheat? 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, and then they fall down. You see, then it is very important also to see the time, and who is this? Time is also important. Okay, so I think if there are no questions about this specific point, we can go on. Just 48 minutes, 49 now, so we can go on sometime more. And yeah, let's read a couple of verses more. There is the Kulmarvatari Incarnation. This is another beautiful story. I don't know how I'm going to tell you all these stories, but I promise about the Matsyavatara. The Matsyavatara, we shouldn't say Matsyavatara Incarnation, because Avatara means incarnation. So it's so the Kulmarvatara, that's the story of the 16th verse. Yes, please read it.
The 11th incarnation of the Lord took the form of a tortoise, whose shell served as a pivot for the Mandarachala hill, which was being used as a turning rod by the theists and atheists of the universe.
Since I am a little silly, I'm waiting for a mistake. You don't do it. Okay. Yes, that's your Brahminical tendency. So this is a very beautiful incarnation, the incarnation of tortoise. And so why I said that someone who reads, because, you know, one of the quality of a Brahmana, he listens. Okay, there are some people who hear classes, but they do not listen. And what is the proof that he was not listening? That when he has to repeat he can't repeat it because he didn't put attention, you see. So it's very important that I think it's not really good to ask you questions so that you repeat something I said. I think it's a little silly again, you know. But I would invite you, please pay attention. And if today Cassandra says something wrong, I will correct her so that you listen, and the next time you tell the Sanskrit word correct. I will also tell you a few things about the Sanskrit diction, the Sanskrit grammar, just hints. Like, for instance, a Mandarachala. In Sanskrit, there is no accent. It's not Mandarachala or Mandarachala or Mandarachala. You know, in Sanskrit, there is no accent. In Sanskrit is a flowing of letters. Mandarachala. So what is this strange thing, so lines above a vowel? What is that? That is not an accent. That determines if the vowel is long or short. What is a short vowel? It's a and a. Okay, you see that when I open my throat, naturally I'm not so fast to cut it at one. It becomes two actually. Okay, that is the difference. Mandarachala. That is the correct diction of Sanskrit. And of course, even myself, I don't pay. Just because we are born in the West, and we don't have some sounds that Indians have naturally by birth. Like, for instance, let's take the M with the point on top. What is this? This is nasal. This M should come out from your nose. So will I even attempt, when I say Sura, Udanim, I don't even do it, just because I know that it would be really paranoid for me saying su, ra, n. This is you say n that you should pronounce it with a plateal. Come si dice? The top of the mouth. Professor Rosario, how would you say that? Plateal? No. Okay. Anyway,
the palate.
Palate. Yes, correct. Yes, with the palate, you have a different way of pronouncing vowels and pronouncing letters. And Sanskrit is very much variegated. I will not pretend that you learn all this, but I surely would like that you know, that you at least hear some of these during these classes, because these are lessons, and I should tell you something that you may not know. So okay, comes from the nose. It doesn't come from the mouth. If it comes from the mouth, it's It comes even if I close the mouth, the M comes out from the nose. This is a nasal. It's called a nasal M. It's actually not an M, it's another sound. But in Devanagari, since the Sanskrit is written in Devanagari, not in Roman letters, to convey the nasal, they said, okay, let's put the Roman M with a point on top, so they know that they see. And the Om is not O. That's wrong. Om is not Om. It's A-U-M. There are three letters. There is A, there is a U, and there is an M. When the A is short, like in this case, and after is followed by you, the two sounds merge together and they create a new sound that is not O, is O, and it becomes very much O. So those who are not Indians, they cut it short, they say Om, but it's not Om. If you are a Vedic Brahmana, you say Om, Krishna does not listen to you because that is not the sound that he gave it to us. It's another sound. Okay, that's very short, the Sanskrit lesson. All right, so a Tortoise Incarnation, I guarantee you, I'm going to tell you all the story because Kulmarvatari will be told during the Bhagavatam. And this was the 11th incarnation. Sura, Sanam, Udanim, Matnatam, Mandarachalam, Dadre, DH. This is an explosive D, Dadre. Even I don't say Dadre. I say Dadre just to be fast. But when the H is after a consonant, is that in English? A consonant.
Yes.
Yes, a consonant, then you should explode it. That da, oh, like this. Kamata, rupena, prishta, ekadashe vibhuhu. When at the end of a phrase, only at the end of the phrase, there is the H with a point beneath, then the last vowel should be doubled, viduhu, not just vibhu, but vibhuhu. Okay. Okay, let's go on to verse 17. Oh no, but in Rosalind, yes.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances and all the glories for Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, I find the imagery of the tortoise to be very interesting because it talks about the shell being used as a churning rod by both the theists and the atheists. And I wonder what does he mean by churning rod and why both for theists and atheists? And what does this have to do with the commentary about them becoming deathless by drinking the water of the sea?
Well, I wanted to tell the host, I will tell the complete story. Now I will tell a resume, just a couple of minutes, a story of 1 or 2 hours, just. So one day, the demons and the devas, they had the desire to have the nectar of immortality, which is called Amrita. Amrita, Mri, from Sanskrit means death. Amrita means not perishable. You don't die. Amrita means immortality. So the Amrita is something you drink. It's like a juice that you drink. And you become immortal. Not literally immortal, but you live. Anyway, let's cut it on that. So they said both the devas and the demons, they went to Vishnu and said that we want Amrita. And the Vishnu said, but the Amrita can be obtained only if you churn the milk ocean. In this universe, there is a planet where Kshirodakashai Vishnu lives. Kshira means milk in Sanskrit. You have to churn it. And then after some time, the Amrita will come. Okay. So they said, how is it possible to churn an ocean? That is not possible. And they said, well, there is a mountain. That is the road. The road is not the shell. The shell is the place where the mountain was a support to the mountain. Okay, the mountain, Mandara, the Mandara mountain, Achala means hill or mountain. So the Mandara mountain was the churning road. So you have the road and you needed some place to put the mountain on. And Vishnu said nobody is strong enough to do that. Not only he has to keep it on his body, but also you have to tolerate the continuous movement of the. And Vishnu took the form of a Kurma, the tortoise. So they took the mountain, the Mandara mountain, they put it on back, and everything was ready. But actually something was missing. Was missing the rope, you know. And then Vasuki said, okay, I am strong and long enough to be the rope. Then he became the rope. So one side of Vasuki snake, there were the demons, and on the other side there were the devas, and they started to churn and churn and churn. And so many things came up, so many things. There are the stories, hours to tell it all. But amongst that, the Amrita came up, you know, then the Jews, and they could take the Amrita. Of course, after the Amrita was achieved by the work, conjoint work of the devas and demons, there were so many other instances, like the Mohini Murti thing, and the new planet being created in that occasion, so many other stories. But the theists and the atheists, they were the demons, the asuras, and the devas. That's why they were translated like that, because the original word is, if you go see in the Sanskrit verse, is a sura asura. Sura suranam udadhim. The sura, which are the devas, and the asura, which were the demons. Is that, could you understand the story by the short resume, you know, very short? Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, the rest is a pivot, you know, here it's called a pivot. So you needed the base, you needed the road, which is the mountain, and then you needed the rope to move it continuously, and then there was the Vasuki serpent. All right, let's read a couple of verses, and then we go to questions until you get tired, and we close. 17. Manvantari.
In the 12th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Dhanvantari, and in the 13th he lured the atheists by the charming beauty of a woman and gave nectar to the demigods to drink.
You see, she said Dhanvantari. No, it's not Dhanvantari, it's Dhanvantari. Dhanvantari. That's yeah, there shouldn't be any accent on any point. Dhanvantari. And this is, I hinted to the story, the second story, the beauty of a woman, you know. So first of all, why the demon, the Sura and the Asura were churning the ocean, then among so many other things, Dhanvantari came up. And who is Dhanvantari? Very famous Dhanvantari in India. Dhanvantari is the incarnation of the Lord who gave us the Ayurveda, the science of medicine. He is the origin of the Ayurveda. Ayur, what it means, Ayur? Ayu means life. Life. Ayurveda is the science who let you live the maximum time that is allotted to you. You are to die, there is no medicine about that. But how much can you live? 80 years? Ayurveda let you do that. Okay. All right. And then he allured the atheist, the Asura, by the charming beauty of a woman. This woman is the Mohini Murti is called. The Mohini Murti. The Mohini Murti, when they had finally the how you call it, the Amrita, the nectar of immortality, the demons wanted for them first. But the Deva said they are bad people. Okay, if we give them first, after they will become stronger before us, and we will not be able to take the rest of the Amrita. But the demons said the same thing. You know, they didn't trust each other. So they were in this situation, and nobody trusted anyone. And the Deva said, so what can we do? And the demon said, okay, then we have to find a person we both trust. At that point, an extremely beautiful woman appeared. Never, ever in this world was made such a beauty. Never. So he was an incarnation of Vishnu, and everyone was in love with her. And the demon said, yes, we trust you. They said that just because they hoped something would happen. And so they trusted her, and she decided that first the devas and then the demons. At that point, two demons understood the trick that this beautiful woman was actually Vishnu incarnated, and they again, that word that I always forget, they disfrazed, how you say that?
Disguise.
They disguised as a devas, and one of those, there were two who did this. One is the Ketu planet, and the other one is the Rahu planet. There's a long story about Rahu and Ketu, and it's more an astronomy and astrology lesson, which I'm not going to give now. But they only the head became a planet, and I'll tell you why another time. So the 12th incarnation is both Dhanvantari and Mohini Murti. You see, Mohinia Mohayam, Striya, an extremely beautiful woman, which was the incarnation of Vishnu. Okay, we are going to read the last verse, the 18, and then we go up to question and up to the end.
In the 14th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Nrsimha and bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu with his nails, just as a carpenter pierces cane. Yes,
Nrsimha Hiranyakashipu, correct. Chaturda Shandara Simham Bibhrad Daityendran Urjitam Dadara Karajai Urav Erakam Katakridyata. So this is the 14th incarnation, is the Narasingha or Nrsimha, the same thing, the incarnation of the Lord. And I think that all of you, at least briefly, you have heard the story, isn't that? Who never heard the story of Narasingha Hiranyakashipu? Tell me, have you heard the story, yes or no?
Yes, I've heard.
Yes, everybody.
Yes.
Okay, the very, very famous story. Everybody knows the story. So this is the 14th incarnation, and occasionally he appears the 14th day of the month. Chaturdashi, he appears in Chaturdashi. This is the Narasingha Avatara. So, of course, we are going to, there is a whole chapter of the Bhagavatam dealing with Narasingha, Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad, and everything. We'll have ample time to tell all details of the story. Okay, now I have a couple of questions, not by you, by somebody else. I'm going to take just a few minutes answering these questions. One question is about if the devotees do miracles. Of course they do. There is one amongst many. I told the story, which is in a book that I published, and you should read. and this book is Shamananda, The Joy of Radharani, and this book is just enjoyable. I enjoyed write it as much as I still enjoy reading it. One day, to test Sri Shamananda Prabhu and Rasikananda Prabhu, King Navina Kishora Dhal sent some stones of the shape and color of potatoes together with other foodstuffs. As soon as he saw those stones, Rasikananda understood the real intention of the king. He used the stones in different vegetable preparations and then offered it all to Krishna's deity, and everything tasted great. Because he cooked Ghanta, the stones, Shila, like potatoes, that place became known as Ghanta Shila, and Ghanta Shila Lila, also the pastime is being called. Nowadays situated near Tatanagara, Jharkhand, that's more or less in the central India, north central India, and testify to the transcendental pastimes of Rasikananda Prabhu. So to transform stones into potatoes, that's a miracle. How many miracles the devotees do? Many. I can tell you story after story after story. Then another devotee asked me how to remove fear briefly. The scripture say that there are 4 ways to remove fear: studying, taciturnity, worship with fire, and sacrifices. These are the 4 means through fear is removed. There are other ways, of course, but the scripture say that. Another question is about how many hellish planets exist. Different sages say different numbers. Bhagavatam say 28. So there are 28 different hellish planets. And let's see if I can tell you where. It is said that, I didn't write it where, but there are 28 hellish planets. Okay? If you want to the name, I'll tell you, but maybe not. Last questions is the Buddhism, how it came to be according to the Vishnu Purana. I don't remember if I told the story briefly, very briefly, in the English class or Spanish class or Italian class. I don't know. Anyone remembers if I spoke here last week about Buddhism? Nobody answered. You don't remember. Okay. Well, again, this also is a very long story. I'm going to make it very. But the Buddha we know is not the original Buddha. The Buddha we know, the one who appeared 2,500 years ago, more or less, and we know as they appeared in Nepal, etc. That is not the original Buddha. He got realized in Gaya, in India. He traveled. He became realized in Gaya, in India, and but he was a guru. Let's call it like that, of a very long list. And the original Buddha is a Vishnu avatar, and we find the story in the 3rd book, 17, 18 chapters. And the story briefly recites in this way. Defeated in battle by the demons, the Devas sought shelter from Vishnu, who granted them their desire. The Lord emitted from his body an illusory form, which he gave to the Devas, saying, "The deceptive vision shall wholly beguile the demons, so that, being led astray from the path of the Vedas, they may lose their strength. Anyone, God, demon, or others, who shall oppose the authority of the Vedas shall perish by my might. Go then, and don't fear, let the delusive vision precede you. It shall this day be of great service unto you, O gods." This illusory form came to earth and preached the deviant renunciants, they would be called Arhata, forming the base of the Jain religion. Then the illusory form of Vishnu, dressed in red, and told those who deserted the Veda to stop killing animals. While teaching them a false philosophy, he repeatedly said, Buddhyatvam, which means no. You should learn, you should know that this is the truth. And they replied, Buddhyate, it is known, we understood. In this way, they came to be known as Buddha or Buddhist. So this illusory form was the original Buddha, who appeared at the beginning of Kali Yuga. So the Buddha born in Nepal and the Buddha who appeared, the Vishnu avatar, who appeared in Gaya actually, in India, they are two different persons. I always had the intention of writing a long article on Buddhism, and I never had the opportunity. One day maybe I will. And I think that's it. Yeah, this is the 4 questions they sent to me. If there is any questions, we continue. Otherwise, we stop here. Okay, no question. I don't want to embarrass you, asking something you don't have in your mind. And I don't have any specific news about our work. I'm still working on the library. We had so many technical difficulties. It's been very, very complicated. But right now we have more than 6,600 items in articles in the library, and it will take time to put and put, and it will take 2 weeks more before you will be able to subscribe, and then you will have entrance, because many articles now, if you do a research, you will not be able to access. I will tell you how many articles has been. More than 300 articles. They are already invisible. They are visible so only to those who will subscribe. The subscription, there is a little donation, and of course those who already give donations, very almost monthly, two of you at least, they send me donations since a long time. Every month they will have a password, a code they will enter free of charge, and also those who do service, etc. But we need people to understand that we need help. Okay, then to wrap it up, I think that's it. Is there anything else? Okay. Thank you very much. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Haribo. And yeah, Saturday we had the class in Spanish. We didn't have the last, but this Saturday, first, we are going to have the class in Spanish. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.